Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, Team Tab, I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
It's a blessing, it is. I don't give a damn about no polls, though. What is they gonna do? What is a poll gonna do for us?
It puts you in the position in the playoffs.
What playoffs?
One delay.
We want to go to Celebration Bowl. Are they paying for the playoffs? Do they pay for the playoffs?
Not until later as you progress, later in the process.
What is it going to do for us? Like, when you go to a bowl game, like the bowl games at the conclusion of the season with the FCS, right, they get compensated, correct?
Yes, sir.
So why would we want to go to something that we're not compensated and we could go somewhere where we're compensated, like a Celebration Bowl? That's the goal, to me. We're trying to bless these kids, man. We're not trying to just play in bowls. If that was the case, we'd just make up a bowl and go down the street and play in Louisiana, right? Don't they have a big empty stadium and ain't nobody using? They use it, what, twice a year? Let's just do a bowl game. Don't make sense. No. There has to be a purpose for everything under heaven. Under heaven. It has to be a purpose for every darn thing we do. It has to be a purpose. We can't just do things just because we're able to do it. It has to be purposeful.
Do it.
We good? Thank you.
This is Dr. Cavil inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment. I think he's in Brazil, maybe some. I don't know. That brother moves around so much. It's like that. I don't know how you get business assignments in Brazil. One time I was in Germany. I mean, Charles, I think we're doing the wrong thing. We need to reconsider all this.
Yeah, I got to reconsider all this because I need a business trip to Brazil, Germany, wherever. Mike Washington is international.
and then we got Brother Williams in joining us today, Mr. Allen Williams. And he's no slouch. I mean, he'll do his own thing, and he just gets off, and now he's an empty nester. He just leaves. He get back like, hey, man, he sent a picture. I'm with you. What? It's like that? It's like that?
I'm telling you, Doc, it's greater later. You got about 12 more years, but it's greater later.
I see. That's the adjunct Professor Williams just guesting us today as Mike Washington is out. Welcome to episode 310 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. We call it just HBCU sports pedagogy. Look for the shirt coming soon. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host. Today is Allen Williams and Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCLH 12:30 a.m. studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THC Agency, LLC. THC Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. Let me get this update. Prayers for those that are in the eye of the storm. With that being said, South Carolina State, South Carolina game has been moved to Thursday night. This is courtesy of HBCU game day. The South Carolina State at South Carolina football game, originally scheduled for noon on Saturday in Columbia, has been moved to Thursday, September 29th at 7 p.m. That is Eastern Standard Time due to Hurricane Ian. The those are pretty much your updates in terms of what has been scheduled. We'll kind of keep you update of how this is impacting it. The CIAA Fayetteville State has announced that its game against Jawan has been moved to Thursday as well. This game between Elizabeth City State and Johnson V. Smith has been moved to Thursday evening. There was no announcement on the Lincoln Winston-Salem State game, which is home opener for the Rams, as well as homecoming. So that's one that we try to keep you updated as we get more information there. No other games have been reported as of noon earlier today. 3 games that you may want to keep your eyes on that could be impacted with no decisions at this time. Miles, Albany, Benedict Fort Valley, Morehouse, Edward Waters, Kentucky, and Savannah State. On Monday, Bethune-Cookman said it had already made plans to move its practices to Alabama to prepare for Saturday's game against Alabama A&M. The school issued a mandatory evacuation, and students were converted to the remote learning on Tuesday as they convert over. I guess that's one of the things of COVID-19. Make sure we've been prepared to be able to do that. Florida A&M, during a media conference, announced on Tuesday today that its home game against Mississippi Valley State would be played as scheduled on Saturday. As of 11 a.m., IN has sustained winds 115 miles, was classified as a Category 3 storm. It was moving to the north at 10 miles per hour. So that's your update in terms of the weather report, specifically how it does with HBCUs. Again, we have our prayers out for everybody that is involved in the storm. Be careful and take care of yourself. A little bit, obviously, on a lighter note, as we open it up, you saw the introduction with Coach Prime. That is courtesy of Dwayne Lewis, associate president over the athletic directors and communication, as he gets it done during the media press conference they had that Wednesday before the Mississippi Valley State game. A lot of people were having conversations with the higher rankings because now everybody is keeping an additional eye on the various polls out there. We give our HBCU poll today. We'll give you some updates on what that looks like. We'll give you a sneak peek at HBCU Pro modes. But in this case, they're in that top 10 in a lot of polls, and people are talking about all of a sudden the FCS playoffs if we hadn't had enough of that. But I thought I'd give you an update just so you know, for those that hadn't been following me on Twitter, as I put that out there as well as Instagram. With that being said, let me get back into it, maybe get your thoughts on that shortly. But let me first say, Charles, how you doing today?
Doing well, Dr. Bill, doing well. Had a lot of great action this past weekend. I got an off week, so I get an opportunity to kind of sit home and enjoy a little bit of HBCU football via my systems like you have, computer, iPad, TV this weekend, and Texas Southern be in town. So I get a chance to catch up with everybody.
Pretty nice. You gonna sneak over to the games? You got an open date this week?
Got an open date this week. Gonna enjoy a little.
So you can put out the old press credentials, and if you want to get on over there to Texas Southern, I
There you
understand
go.
it. Put you to
There you
work.
go.
I like that. Put him to
Put me to
work.
work.
Put him
I
to
know,
work over there at Texas Southern.
right?
Alan, how you doing today?
Hey man, I'm good. My Panthers are still sitting in first place atop the West, so all is well in the world.
I like that. I like that. A big game this weekend in Dallas State Fair Classic, where you reside. So I'm sure you have a lot of company that you'll be hosting. As last year, I did the show live from the pool in the backyard. Really, the jacuzzi, man, that was another level. I appreciate that. Just make sure I tell the public. I thank you. I got a lot of accolades when that thought process went down and made it happen. But to the point there, as we get into it, let me go ahead and get your thoughts, Alan, as you heard the introduction in terms of this FCS playoffs and the Celebration Bowl. One, there's no money. In a lot of ways, you actually have to pay to participate. And the other one, you get revenue. One of the quickest things to me in a capitalistic society, not that I choose that, but we are here. So if you're going to have the rules, you might as well play for them. I'll put that on the table, but let me get your thoughts.
I think Coach Prime is saying the quiet part out loud. I think there are a lot of FCS schools that lose money when they go to the playoffs. So I agree with him. It's all about the bowl structure that we have coming out of the SWAC and MEAC, where you can actually be compensated to play that game. And, it's a championship game. So, they can keep the FCS playoffs. If we moved up to FBS, I agree with Coach Prime. We're going to stick with the Celebration Bowl.
I like it. Take it with us. Charles, we've had this talk many moons, but now share it with the public for those that hadn't heard your perspective. I believe I know where it's going from, but hey, it's public now, so go ahead. Let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, money talks, ish walks. That's the way it works. and to your credit,
right.
to your credit,
I didn't know you were gonna come straight like that. Okay.
I mean, yeah, no, Trey. I mean, to your credit, I mean, you said for years when this Celebration Bowl came online that this is the future. I mean, we're beyond this structure where we're playing for this pride of somebody else, you know, to play in the playoffs where there is no money. You have an opportunity to be compensated for playing in this bowl game. It's just common sense at this point. And anybody still arguing to the contrary, you're just not aware. I mean, I can't have that argument with you. You just don't understand common sense. So that's where we are.
Man, he said common sense, and I can't even talk to him. Oh man, Can I get another mic drop on that one? Wow.
No sense in us having that conversation.
Well, give us the SWAC Football Weekly honors as you get into it, and then we'll go to Allen and let him do the MEAC Football Weekly honors.
And before I get into the weekly honors, I do want to stop and acknowledge this very sad something, and this is from Alcorn State Athletics, Braves family. Tonight we mourn sincerely the recent loss of family members of our own Tyler Smith. We ask that you please keep Tyler and his family in your prayers at this time and respect the privacy of the family. As you know, unfortunately, the young man lost his mother and his sister this past weekend. So we wanted to offer condolences and prayers to the Alcorn State family as well as Tyler Smith and his family.
Certainly most appropriate. I'm glad you made sure before we got any further that you did that. In fact, we're going to take a moment of silence on behalf of his family. With that, condolences to him, his family, prayers for the entire Alcorn State Braves family and SWAC HBCUs all together, as we certainly understand the need to come together when something as tragic as that has happened. Go ahead with the SWAC Football Weekly honors, if you would, Charles.
Sure thing. The SWAC has named Jackson State Shador Sanders, Alcorn's Jarvin Howard, Florida A&M's Isaiah Major, and Bethune-Cookman's Darnell Dees its SWAC Football Players of the Week. Let's take a look at their performances. Co-offensive Players of the Week. Shador Sanders had a career day during the Tigers' 49-7 win over Mississippi Valley State. He set career marks in completions, 40, attempts, 51, and passing yards, 438 yards to go along with 4 TD passes. Sanders completed passes to 12 different receivers, including touchdown passes to 4 different receivers. Co-offensive player of the week and newcomer of the week, Jarvin Howard from Alcorn, rushed for a career high 299 yards, rushes on 23 carries, adding 4 touchdowns on the ground. He averaged 13 yards per carry for the game and also caught 1 pass for 2 yards. He had a scoring runs of 44, 11, 24, 78, respectively, while playing a key role in Braves come from behind win over UAPB. Now let's look at the defensive side of the ball. Major was a key contributor for Florida A&M, making plays all over the field in the Rattlers' 38-25 win versus Alabama A&M. He finished with a career high 14 tackles, 10 solos, and 1 tackle for a loss. And Dees, he was a specialist, made an impact in Bethune-Cookman's 36-19 win over Grambling, finding the end zone twice through the contest. He scored midway through the first quarter on an explosive 97-yard kick return to put the Wildcats up 14-7. He also capped off the Bethune-Cookman win with an interception return for a score with under a minute to play in the contest. He totaled 127 return yards during the game. So those are your SWAC players of the week.
Nice. Kudos to the SWAC players of the week. Man, they were getting it done. Let's go to you, Allen. Talk to us about the MEAC players of the week.
All right. So for MEAC, presented by Coca-Cola, North Carolina Central junior quarterback Davius Richard was named the MEAC Football Offensive Player of the Week. Presented by Coca-Cola, South Carolina State linebacker B.J. Davis was named Defensive Player of the Week, while Norfolk State's Jordan Lennon was named Rookie of the Week. North Carolina Central's Robert Mitchell was named Offensive Lineman of the Week, and the Eagles' Adrian Olivio was named Specialist of the Week. So starting from the top, Richard is QB, 6'3", 215-pound junior, accounted for 4 of the Eagles' 8, I repeat, 8 touchdowns in the win over Virginia University of Lynchburg, passing for 3 and rushing for 1 score as North Carolina Central posted its highest single game point total since 2016. Richard was 12 for 17 through the air for 148 yards. That's 12.3 per completion for those doing the math. With rushing 6 times for 41 yards, that's 6.8 per carry for those who are keeping track. Now, moving on to Davis. He's a linebacker, 6'2", 190 pounds. He's also a returning sophomore. He racked up a game and career high 17 tackles, including 12 solo stops against North Carolina A&T State. He also broke up a pass against the Bulldogs, former MEAC rival. So shout out to Davis. Here we go. Lennon, running back, 5'10", 211-pound freshman, carried the ball 10 times for 80 yards. For those doing the math, come on, baby, catch up. You ignorant squared, as one of my professors, Dr. Harvey, used to say. There's 8 yards. Both career highs against St. Francis. He also scored his first collegiate touchdown with a 26-yard run in the second quarter. Moving on to our offensive lineman, Mitchell. He's 6'4", 305, a returning senior. Graduated out at 97% against Virginia University of Lynchburg, anchoring the offensive line that allowed the Eagles to amass 465 yards of total offense. That's 7.5 yards a play. Come on, baby. They got it in. 272 yards rushing and 59 points. And 52. They only had 52 offensive snaps. So he recorded 7 pancake blocks and did not give up a sack in that game. Going to our specialist, Olivio. He's place kicker, 5'10", 185-pound junior, connected on all 8 of his extra point attempts and made a 34-yard field goal in the Eagles' win over Virginia University. For the season, Olivio was 2 for 2 on field goals and 23 for 24 on PATs. Sound like he's trying to take my kicker from PV's nickname. We call him Luis Money Reyes. It sounds like Olivio trying to get that money nickname. I see. Y'all, back to you.
I appreciate it, man. I see the MEAC doing it big as well. Let me give a special shout out to A&T out of the Big South, as they had folks that showed out against South Carolina State out of the MEAC that you talked about and ended up players of the week. That's North Carolina A&T running back Bashar Tootin, as he got it done in terms of the Big South football offensive player of the week. A&T kicker Andrew Brown. So these kickers are getting it done. Coach special team player of the week, and North Carolina A&T running back Wesley Gray is the freshman of the week. So you get it. 2 running backs ran all over the Bulldog, South Carolina State. So kudos to A&T, the Aggies, as they get it done in terms of that matchup. I did want to give a special shout before we come back and get into Dr. Bill's HBCU mid-major and major division top 10 and see what y'all think about that. We released the MyBCSN HBCU Pro Sports Media top 5. Starting with the under D1, as they like to say it there. That's our mid-major poll. At number 5, you have Benedict, 4-0, 2-0 out of the SIAC. At number 4, Fort Valley State, 4-0, 1-0 out of the SIAC. You have number 3, Virginia State, 3-1, 2-0 out of the CIAA. At number 2, you have Albany State, 3-1, 1-0 out of the SIAC. And you have Virginia Union, 4-0, 2-0 out of CIAA. You can go look at those that are in the hunt. And the point differential for those teams getting the votes, you can go to MyBCSN to check that out on the website. Let me tell you about the D1, a major division, as we talk about, give you those programs and let you know what they look like in terms of those teams in the top 5, so you can see how it measures out what we got on our list. At number 5, you have FAMU 2-2, 1-1 in the SWAC. At number 4, Alcorn State Braves 2-2, 1-0 in the SWAC. You see the refrain, a lot of SWAC in here. At number 3, Prairie View A&M, 2-2, 2-0 out of the SWAC. At number 2, North Carolina Central, 4-0, representing the MEAC. They hadn't started yet. And number 1, Jackson State, 4-0, 2-0 out of the SWAC. 4 out of the top 5 programs in the SWAC represent MyBCSN in terms of HBCU Pro Sports Media poll rankings there. And as I should say, it's the HBCU Pro Sports Media rankings. It's on MyBCSN in terms of one of the places you can go get it. Stick with us. We'll be right back. We'll see if they know as much as I know. Get y'all thoughts in terms of what I have. Stick with us as we be right back, as we'll come back right back after this break.
I have in me the Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports
Tell everybody they can follow their dreams.
Let's get back to getting ticks instead of watching flicks. Before we can safely get out there, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your crew.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody.
Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go, why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna love, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside HBCU Sports Lab. We got the adjunct Professor Alan Williams back for his third stint in the lab. We got the one and only truly Professor Bishop. He just tearing up the classroom today. I don't know what came in here, but he dropping mic at the lectrum. He just putting on fire in terms of what's going on here. Let's see if he can calm down when we get these polls. Because he get too excited, I'm going to cut off that mic there just as I know it. Let's see. Let me get into my mid-major. We got a lot of teams receiving votes as they're stuck at that 2-2 level. We'll see if we can get some separation this Saturday, I guess, a little bit. The receiving votes are West Virginia State Yellow Jackets, 2-2, if you would. Florida Memorial Lions are 2-2 as well, receiving 2 points as the Yellow Jackets had 1. You had Lane Dragons right there receiving votes as well. They have 4, 2-2 on the season, 2-0 in terms of what they're doing in conference play to give you a little more there. Shaw Bears 1-2, but they find a way still in the hunt with 5 points, 1-0 in the conference race. Lincoln, Pennsylvania Lions can't quite get in the top 2, but they're the highest ranked receiving votes. 1-1, 6 votes, not quite in there. Guess who sneaks in there this week is number 10, Tuskegee Golden Lions, 2-2, 1-0. That non-conference win really was the difference I can see in terms of voting for most not ranked. Also not ranked, Savannah State Tigers bouncing back, win straight as they're 2-2, 1-1, 15 points. They're also in the top 10. Teams that dropped out because those teams jumping in, Bluefield State, Big Blue, 1-3 on the season. Say they let one get away. Virginia State receiving votes. They also dropped out this week. Bringing us to number 9, Bowie State Bulldogs, 2-2 on the season. They move up a spot, bringing us to number 7, Fayetteville State Broncos, 2-2. Lost a tough one, and they are 1-1 on the season. They bounce back, getting that win, dropping it to Virginia Union in a lot of ways. They dropped 2 spots. At number 6, Virginia State Trojans quietly. They winning with Dr. Henry Fraser over there third, 3-1, 2-0 as they move up a spot. Top 5 programs. I know that's what you want to see. Who are the top 5? See what's the difference between what we do over here and what they do with the HBC Pro Sports Media. And number 5, Fort Valley State Wildcats, 4-0, 1-0. They are previously number 6, 65 points. They move up a spot. Bringing us to number 4. Albany State Golden Rams, 3-1, 1-0. 2 first place votes. Remember, their losses to the FCS FAMU, 7 and 4 points, staying at number 4. At number 3, Benedict Tigers, 4-0, 2-0. They're rolling. 2 first place votes. Remain at number 3. No changes here, 76 points, bringing us to number 2. Langston Lions, 4-0. 4-0 also in the conference race. 2 first place votes, but 93 points. Remaining at number 2, bringing us to number 1, Virginia Union Panthers, 4-0, 2-0 in the CIAA conference race. 4 first place votes, as they are number 1 for the 3rd straight week. That is the Virginia Union Panthers. Charles, what do you think in terms of the poll rankings in week number 4?
No issues whatsoever with the top 5. I think those teams have really separated themselves, especially Virginia Union. Gosh, I was waiting to see if Lincoln, Pennsylvania, that the Lions could get in that top 10. Second win of the season, last second field goal. The first time they won 2 games of the season, and the first time they've had a record at 500. They had 500 since 2015. Wow, I wanted them in there.
It was close. It was close.
I wanted them in there so bad, but I give you credit. That is a good, impressive out-of-conference win by Tuskegee. So by that virtue alone, their 2-2 weighs a little heavier than Lincoln's 2-2.
I knew you knew what you was talking about, brother. I knew you knew what you was doing. Let me go to Allen and see if he has any thoughts on the mid-major. See if he gonna mix it up some, or he says, "I'm doing what I need to do." Go ahead. What do you think in week number 4?
Doc, it's hard to argue against you, but if we're gonna have some Langston Lions here sending you some tweets, so I'm sure they're gonna be on your neck. Say, hey man, we 4-0.
That's true.
4-0, 4-0. So we'll see next week. But hate to see that my West Virginia State Yellow Jackets dropped out. My pops is a Hall of Famer at West Virginia State, so I always pull for my Yellow Jackets. But we'll see what they can do next week.
How cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I think about that all the time in terms of pops getting it up there and a Hall of Fame. Man, that's getting it done. Let's get into the major division in terms of what goes on there. We talked about the fact that Lincoln, Pennsylvania is on the road to Winston-Salem State. So they, depending on if Hurricane will act right, maybe they get 3. They get 3 in a row. I'm sure they got to find a way in the top 10. So let's see, Charles, if you can keep your eyes on them, see if they can find a way to get one more win. And, boy, they'll be rolling, talk of the town. But let's get it to the major division and see what's going on there, see what people think in terms of the major division polls. No team dropped out this week. I would tell you that. There are some teams that jumped around because of the wins and losses, upset that took place in some people's eyes, or at least in terms of the ranking. Receiving votes, Texas Southern Tigers are 1-3, 1-1. They have a big chance to make a statement this weekend as they get back in the conference race. Well in the first half, I should say, against UTSA, but still failed, so they're 1-3. North Carolina A&T State Aggies are also 1-3, getting their first victory, but it was a big one. It was over a top 2 team in the poll rankings, at least previously. So we'll see where South Carolina State goes in the poll ranking. Obviously, nobody dropping out. They stay in there. At number 10, picking up those South Carolina State Bulldogs, that's where they fall. They fall to 10. They're 1-2 on the season, and it probably won't get much better. We told coming in the show, it's not Saturday, but now it's Thursday. They play at South Carolina. Yeah, that's the SEC Gamecocks. 17 points. Previous ranked 3, they follow it all the way to 10. They get a chance to redeem themselves as they get in conference play. Remember, this is not a projection. This is week to week where you are in terms of what you play on your schedule at this time. It means little now, but it is for discussion in regards to what you do late in the season. At number 9, you have Alabama State Hornets starting out hot, but they continue to tumble and fall. They're at 2-2, 0-1 in the conference. They lost to a top 10 team. That was the Prairie and Panthers at home, no less. 20 points. They fall 2 spots. At number 8, Arkansas at Pine Bluff, the Golden Lions. They fall also. Another top 10 matchup, but they're 2-2. It was a road game that they lost, 0-1. So you got to keep that in mind. They fall 2 spots, 21 points. At number 7, Delaware State Hornets. They also fall as they lose. They fall 2 spots, 2-2. Hadn't started conference play, 43 points. At number 6, Hampton Pirates. They lose for the first time. It was a conference game against a top 10 program in Delaware. They fall to 3-1, 0-1 on the conference season, 62 points. They fall 2 spots. bringing us to top 5. The team that jumps in the top 5 all the way from 10 because everybody else in front of them lost. They the only ones that won. Florida A&M Rattlers, they go to 2-2, 1-1 in the conference race. They beat up on Alabama A&M at home. Their losses to a top-ranked Jackson State team, FBS program. We'll see what that means as the season continues to go along. At number 4, Alcorn State Braves. They jump all the way up, 4th spot. One of the second biggest moves of the poll ranking this week. They came from behind in the second half and ran literally all over the golden lines. As they get it done, they proved the 2-2 on the season, 1-0 in the early conference race in the West Division. Chasing to some degree, at least in terms of the number of games, Prairie View A&M Panthers at number 3. 2-2 on the season as they even their record, 2-0 in conference play. They go on the road against the top 10 team at that time, Alabama State. 93 points. They move up 6 spots with all the other teams losing. So a lot of fluctuation in the poll this week. At number 2, North Carolina Central Eagles. They stay there. 4 first place votes, 101 points. They do add 1 first place vote at number 2. Bring us to number 1, Jackson State Tigers, 4-0, 2-0. They go up 8 first place votes, 115 points. They add and continue to add first place votes as they are impressive. They get it done. 8 first place votes for Jackson State. Jackson State Tigers continue to be number 1. And as I said, they add a first place vote as they continue to dominate in a lot of ways. They'll get it done. They're off this week. We'll see what goes on with the rest of these teams. I'm going to start with you, Alan, as I see Charles throwing up his hands and fists in dismay. We're going to save all his concerns and let him think about it a little bit for make sure he don't put too much foot in his mouth. But no, it's his comments. We'll let him have it. Alan, what are your thoughts on the top 10 poll rank?
I think you gave South Carolina State some of them buddy points or something, man, because I have A&T sitting at 10 and South Carolina State on the outside looking in, baby. I'm sorry. To beat the man, you got to beat the man.
They got the head-to-head. Yeah.
I'm just saying. Yeah, but other than that.
Yeah, 1 and 2, 1 and 3 ain't much difference. I can see where you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, I like UAPB out here making some statements here, man. They were looking good against Alcorn this week, so I kind of like to see what they're going to do for the rest of this season. I'm telling you, that Western Division is going to get wild as we start getting into SWAC play. So let's get all these money games out the way and get into SWAC play. But right now in the SWAC overall, it looks like a deja vu from last year. We got Jackson State sitting on top and PV right behind them in the West. Sitting at 2-0, so we may be on a collision course in Jackson again this year. I like North Carolina. I'm just saying. Hey, Charles, 1876, we already got our reservations, baby.
All right. Hold on. I hear Alcorn fan in my ear right now.
Hey.
Yeah, they do, but remember, Alcorn does have to go to Prairie View.
They do.
That's different. It wasn't like Alcorn beat up on Prairie View. It was a fumble and a big kick, or they would have won it outright last year. So I don't think there's that much difference between Alcorn and Prairie View. And maybe the difference is home field advantage. The good thing about it, Charles, it plays out on the field, so we'll find out. With that being said, let me go to you, Charles, since you getting your thoughts out there. Tell me about the poll rankings. Well, number 4.
Let me bang on some pots and pans here with 3 and 4 ranking. What makes Prairie View's 2-2 a little better than Alcorn's 2-2?
A time.
Okay. I'm just timing. Okay.
I think the biggest point is that while Alcorn lost at home to a top 10 team, right? Nip and Tump. Prairie View lost at home to a top 5 team and held them 30 points under their average of scoring. And then you go back and look at the opponents for Incarnate Word versus Stephen F. Austin. One of the opponents that Incarnate Word beat actually defeated Northwestern. Not Northwestern State that Grambling won, but Northwestern won P5 out of the Big Ten. So the stronger opponents are being played by Incarnate Word, and Prairie View held them down. And that was with a backup quarterback and a backup running back.
That's fair. Prairie View.
I think when you look at it like that, again, this will play out just like you talked about North Carolina A&T, South Carolina State. Week to week, South Carolina plays USC in terms of South Carolina, the Gamecocks, you got to believe they lose that. North Carolina A&T plays Bryant. They get that win, they'll probably find a way to get in the top 10.
Yeah,
we're going to call it week to week and let it play out.
Yeah, I think that was a great win this past weekend. Purview going to Alabama State and getting that W over there. That's a huge W anytime you go on the road. But I'm taking a look at Jackson State, North Carolina Central. Did North Carolina Central get more first place votes this week?
Yeah, they got one. They got one more vote. So those 2 first place votes, I should say, were with South Carolina State. Obviously, they lost those, and those votes were split. One went to Central, and one went to Jackson State.
So I don't want Jackson State to be a victim of their success. They are top 5 in the nation in offense and the number 1 defense in the nation. They cracked the top 10 this week. Give me all them first place votes. I want them all.
All the Jackson people are not voting in the poll.
They texting me now. They texting me. I'm looking at the polls like, what?
Yeah, I mean, but they'll get a chance. As I said, you play it out in the season, and ultimately, if it comes down to Celebration Bowl, they can get all the marbles when it really counts at the end when you want it. This time is just to talk about it. Doesn't mean all other than us having talking points. So I think that's there. But I also think people forget. You have SWAC eyes, and you focus on Jackson State. Rightfully so. That's what you're watching. That's what you look at. So if Jackson State is getting it done, obviously you're going to say they're great. But you haven't really watched North Carolina Central. Let's be honest about that. You've been focused on Jackson State. You haven't really watched Prairie View. So all your emotion and all your framing, even if it's straightforward, is all on Jackson State. And you haven't watched anybody else as much. So it's hard to say what that separation is. All you know is how great Jackson State is, but you don't necessarily know how solid or good, great these other teams in. So I think there's a bit about that.
But I'm doing my homework and I'm taking a look at the stats. And
I'm not talking about you. You was talking about those fans.
Those fans.
I know what you're talking about. You said all them fans want those first place votes, and you were commenting on that behalf. So I had no problem with that. I'm just talking to your fans that are texting you to leave you alone and let you do your work. Time will tell.
They're coming hard too. They're coming hard.
Send them to me. Send them to me. I'll take the text. Just forward it over. We'll be all right. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break. Went a little long there, but there's good discussion. We'll get into some CIAA mid-major matchups, and then we'll catch back up in terms of that. Great dialogue, great comments. Keep them coming. I see all the talk texts out there. Appreciate you. A lot of great viewers. We'll get a chance, hopefully, to shout y'all out. So we appreciate all the work you're putting in and all the comments. Keep them going. Great dialogue and stuff. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
The new GMC Sierra with hands-free driving offers the most advanced and luxurious pickup in its class. Yeah, it rocks.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, trying to get down.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Boy, those behind the scenes all segments, you just never know what goes down. Great dialogue, gentlemen, in terms of that. Let's get into some of these matchups. We're going to get into the mid-major matchups first. We got a mid-major matchup that features a major division team. It's a team that's 0-3. Tennessee State Tigers. Now, you got to think about this. You got to understand this when you talk about Tennessee State. They played now a top 10 team in terms of Jackson State. At the time, they were top 15. First week, they played a top 10 team, still top 25, Eastern Washington. But they play a game, Lane Dragons. It's at home. Hale Stadium as they're back on campus, obviously in Nashville, Tennessee. That's October the 1st at 1 o'clock. Interesting matchup to me in a lot of ways. Obviously, we got family there over there, Allen, in terms of Tennessee State. So I know you keep a little more focus on Tennessee State than maybe most in terms of those that are SWAC fans. Talk about this Lane Dragons out of the SIEC, 1-2 coming in this matchup, 0-1 in conference race in the SIEC versus Tennessee State that's 0-3 and has not played a conference game. They only have 6-7 members over there in the OVC as it grows with bringing in some Division II programs. So they are much like the MEAC where they get in their conference in the back end of the schedule. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup for a mid-major classic where you have major and mid-major teams playing each other?
Well, I gotta believe that Coach Eddie George is trying to get it together over there, man. This is not how he envisioned this season starting off. So I'd like to see them get back on track. But, you know, Tennessee State loyal is kind of tight. My brother told me he'll be in Dallas tomorrow. So I don't know, man. It's going to be a tight one. But I'm going to pull for Tennessee State. I'm voting with my heart instead of my head. So I'm going to go with Tennessee State.
No problem. Let me go to you, Charles. What are your thoughts? You've seen Tennessee State live and in action. So you give us that perspective. Obviously, that third game loss was to an FBS program, Middle Tennessee State there. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? You followed SIEC and Lane. They played Pine Bluff pretty tough, at least putting up some points. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Lane is a very prolific offense. They can throw the ball around with the best of them. But I think it'll be too much Tennessee State pounding on them. I think you'll really see, you know, kind of the size discrepancy kind of take over there in the third quarter. And Devon Starling, once he gets up and rolling, he's a tough, hard-nosed running back to kind of bring down. So I think Tennessee State wears them out. And this game is being played on the campus of Tennessee State, so I like that as well. So I think the Tigers will take this one easy.
Yeah, I like what you say there. I'm going to stick with you. Go to Langston Lions, number 2 program in the mid-major division poll. They're 4-0, both in the conference race. Got another conference game. It's to Lion Scott's, historically white college for those that are not aware. 1-3 overall, 0-3 in the race. So not much there, but it's on at home. Langston, Oklahoma, W.E. Anderson Stadium, 2 o'clock Saturday kickoff in terms of that October 1st game. Let me know your thoughts. Sticking with you, Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of this Langston Lions? Are they going to continue to do what they do?
Yes, they are going to continue to do what they do. All we do is watch Langston week in, week out, win football games. Home game, I got to go with Langston on this. I think this will be an easy W.
Yeah, this is another team that reminds me of Jackson State in terms of not getting it done. Obviously, Jackson State went much further in terms of what they got it done. They did get the conference championship, but I think Langston has a little bit they want to prove. Going to you, Alan, what are your thoughts in terms of this mid-major matchup? Langston Lions, HBCU, further southern Mississippi. Don't get love, but they get love here because we make sure we cover all of it. What are your thoughts about Langston?
Langston will be 5-0 next week. I think I can guarantee they will win the halftime and 0 quarter and 5th quarter.
Yeah, I like it. Straight to the point. I will put this out there. I hate to rain, as they would say, in terms of the storm on Langston's parade, if you would. But this is the week of the anniversary where Prairie View ended its 80-game losing streak.
Oh, wow.
On the road, and it was to Langston. University in Langston, Oklahoma. So all matches up, as we like to put a little history there. Let's get back into break. we'll come back and get into the major division. We got some nice matchups when you get the major division. We talked some about these teams in the top 10. We got them playing in classes and independent. We'll get into that. Remember on Thursday, we get into the SIAC matchups, CIAA matchups. We get into MEAC matchups, SWAC matchups. Right now, classic and independent programs will be right back after the break to bring you the major division side of things.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Don't worry, Ma. We'll be there soon.
We? Is this the one?
Well, let's say I found the one who takes me to another level. Always stays calm under pressure. Most importantly, the one that helps me discover the coolest places.
This sounds wonderful.
Come outside, I'll introduce you.
They're here.
Definitely the one.
Introducing the all-new Nissan Frontier.
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people try to get down.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We're heading into the fourth quarter. Let me give a shout out to some of the lab listeners. Sticking with us, George Suggs, Lawrence D. White, Lennon Lowe, G. Boom Holly, Lonnie Shaw. Prairie View Today is checking us out, man. We got the newspaper doing it like that, doing it big. Chuck Hunt, Michael D. Jones, big win for Alcorn State, running all over, folks. Good job. Karen Griffin, Chad Cooper, Chuck Hunt, Michael Knotts, Ricky Burden, and Grease Scott, Ricky Burden, Noel Price. Checking us out. LaShawn Harris, Carl Moore, Joe Eagle, George Johnson Jr. Carl Moore in here, Gabe Lewis. I see you, Gabe. Frederick V. Roberts, Brother Roberts in the house. Who else we got in here? Eric Evans, Thomas Einstein Maddox. I see you. Brother Wendell Davis was in the house. Kevin Crawford. Who else we got in here? Carter Kelvin. Appreciate you. Bringing it in. I see the talk. Keep it going. George Walker, Paris McWhirter, Troy Franklin, Devin Holt, Will Joyner Jr., Jonathan Blackman. Let's get into this matchup. Dallas, Texas is in the house. HBCU Go TV, Cotton Bowl Stadium, State Fair Classic, Western Division matchup. Number 3 Prairie View Panthers trying to make it 5 in a row. 2-2, 2-0. And I think that's what it be about 8 of the last 9 versus Grambling Tigers that come in struggling a bit. 1-3, 0-1. They do have that win against Northwestern State. This is the classic Western Division matchup. Grambling's going to say no better time to get right. Prairie View says no, we want to continue and march to the Western Division Championship. Alan, what do you say in terms of this matchup?
Hey, man, all I got to say is Grambling will not get their G back after this week. They got to play another week with no G on the helmet. No, man. Prairie View is rolling, man, and that defense It's the defense that people aren't paying attention to. Last week against Alabama State did not convert, not only not convert a fourth down, they did not convert a third down. I repeat, they did not convert a third down. That defense is stingy, bro.
Yeah.
0-11, 0-8,
Yeah.
third down, 0-3. When I saw that in the stats, I was like, wow, that is pretty significant. You talking about defenses, and defenses, Charles. When you do something like that, that's a pretty good statement. And this is against a very elusive quarterback. They did make plays. They were long plays. But when it came to having to march down the field, it was very difficult. What are your thoughts in terms of the matchup in Dallas?
Yeah, I think that's Allen hit the nail on the head. Prairie View's defense being stingy. What caught my eye was keeping Demetrius Davis in check last week. So I thought that was huge. Prairie View comes into this matchup the number 2 defense in the SWAC thus far. Grambling, they're 11th out of 12 teams in the SWAC in terms of defense. So that's a stat that really jumps out for me. I need Ahmad Antoine, 25 to 30 carries in this game, and I think Prairie View gets this running away.
Yeah, you talking about running the rock. You're right. That's the recipe for me as well. State Fair Classic. Ricky Burton says, Mary Allen said PV will win the game. Edwin D. Moore, why he got to cut him up like that? Since Grambling lost to G, they are now SU. He just laughing, boy. I say it's not right. And people are not right. Sticking with you, Charles. We're going to go in the independent round. I'm right, but you shake your head. Greensboro, North Carolina. So A&T gets to stay at home. Truist Stadium. This is a conference matchup, Big South conference matchup last year for A&T. So they got to get right on the right foot. And they play the newest member, which is Bryant. Bryant Bulldogs come in at 1-3. Obviously haven't played a conference game at North Carolina A&T State Aggies, 1-3, and have not played a conference game as well. 6 o'clock kickoff game, ESPN Plus. Charles, what do you think about the Aggies against Bryant Bulldogs?
I got to go with the Aggies. I was very impressed. That is a very, very tough South Carolina State team that they knocked off last week. I think they kind of found the tonic for what they needed in terms of getting back in the win column. I got them with the win over Bryant this weekend.
Well, interesting, because Bryant Bulldogs would have had that bite. This is the second week in a row where the Aggies take on the Bulldog. You saw what they did with the last Bulldog. They muzzled them, put them in the cage. Alan, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
I'd have to agree with Charles on this one. I think A&T has kind of found their swag because I did not have it on my bingo card for them to beat South Carolina State. And then they got, Bulldogs coming in from Bryant this weekend. I think they continue to roll.
I want to do a little bonus coverage. We're going to stay in these non-conference type independent matchups. We got the MEAC versus the Big South. In this case, it is number 2, North Carolina Central, 4-0, as they're rolling at Campbell Camels, 1-2. I know, Charles, you have your eyes on this matchup for a lot of reasons, but I'm going to stick with Charles and go to Allen first. Let's see what Professor Williams says in terms of this. Lewis Creek, North Carolina, so they are on the road. Last time they went on the road, it was to New Hampshire. And it was Raleigh, New Hampshire, all places. And they came back to Raleigh, North Carolina with the win in terms of getting it done in terms of what it looked like. This time, MEAC, Big South matchup Saturday, 6 o'clock also on ESPN Plus. North Carolina Central Eagles at Campbell's, 1-2. Professor Williams, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
Man, I think the Eagles are going to roll. They're 4-0. I think they're going to hold on to it 5-0. The Eagles this year are like, hey, how do you want it? Head or gut? We can go on the road. We can do it at home. So I'm going with the Eagles in this one over the Campbell Camels.
Charles, I'll let you just put out a little bit because we'll revisit this on Thursday as the MEAC matchup. But I wanted you to get a chance to see what Alan thought on this. And so give me just a tad bit. You don't have to go too much detail because I want to save that for Thursday when you really break it down. But what are your general thoughts in terms of this Eagle versus Campbell? And again, I know you're going to find a way to keep your eyes on this because you want to see what Campbell looks like because they end up coming to Jackson for homecoming, which I think is fascinating. Campbell also will play, obviously, North Carolina A&T. What are your thoughts going on here?
Yeah, one of the things that's kind of stood out, at least for Campbell, is I know they're talented, but from what I've been at least told, they're still young. They're still growing into the team that they're trying to become. This is a solid North Carolina Central team. They're averaging 43 points per game, #1 in the MEAC. They're also the top defense in the MEAC. I think this is a very, very game North Carolina Central squad. They're going to be ready. So I think I'm right now on Tuesday, I'm leaning towards the Eagles.
Man, Lonnie Shaw don't have any conference pride for the MEAC. He said, sorry, North Carolina Central first loss. Wow.
Ooh, that sounds
Thank
Aggie-ish.
you for listening. Huh?
That sounds Aggie-ish. Gee, Lonnie.
I agree with you. Yeah, he sounded a little mad because they beat up on him in that opening game. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Hope you enjoyed our guest adjunct professor, Professor Williams. That's Professor Alan Williams, bringing you his thoughts in terms of the matchups this week. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be right back on Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. We look forward as we will continue to give you the latest news, keep you up on the storm to see if it affects any more games. Continue to keep prayers in that direction. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That is Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, DrKenyattaCavil. That's DrKenyattaCavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you follow the pregame show. They'll be jumping on some things tomorrow. They'll also use some updates coming in this week. Are y'all going to do any additional thing, even though you open this week, or are you going to take the bye with the team?
No, we're going to do some additional things. We're going to take a look back over the first 4 weeks of the season for Jackson State and kind of break down what went right, what went wrong.
Makes sense. Should be insightful. Make sure you keep up with it. You had another one drop today from 1876 Sports and Culture. Make sure you go check them out. In terms of those spaces, they're on YouTube as well now. So check out some of the takes. I got a chance to have my debut of the year guesting on that spot, taking a little love from Mike Washington as he gave up his seat. I can't believe he shared it with the little bro here. So I'm excited about that. Appreciate that, Alan and Joe, in terms of giving that invite and the rest of the 1876 Sports and Culture group there. Make sure you download my JVN, my BCSN. Make sure you continue to look at O&G Strike Zone, also on Wednesdays, give you their love. On Saturdays, you got to check out Carlos Brown. And then as we do the Nights of Round Table, keep it up on that because those will start following around, give you some updates there. And then Sunday night, you close off the weekend or open it up, depending on which way you want to see it. You can make sure you find Brian and AD as they give you the sports wrap and give you the big roundup, long show to break down what took place this week, mid-major, major division as they go deep inside the numbers. Please continue to check us out. Support, dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Lecture.
Yes, Smith. He said Aggie-ish.